I still remember the way his fingers dug into my arm. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to shake me. It was a cold Thursday evening. The kind of evening where the air feels heavy, like it's warning you about something. I had just stepped off the late train from work, tired, annoyed, already rehearsing in my head what I was going to say to my wife about the bills, the broken washing machine, and my boss who kept me an extra 2 hours. I didn't expect anyone to be at the station. It was late, but as I walked out the gate, I saw him, my son, Ethan. He was standing near the bench by the exit, hugging his backpack to his chest, wearing his school jacket, even though it wasn't that cold. His eyes were wrong. They were too wide, too bright, shining in the streetlights with something between fear and panic. Ethan? I frowned, checking my watch. What are you doing here? It's late. Where's your mom? He didn't answer. Instead, he took 2 quick steps forward, grabbed my wrist with both hands, and pulled me away from the few people walking past us. His fingers were ice cold. Dad, he whispered, voice trembling so much he could barely form the words. Please don't go home. I froze. For a second, I thought he was joking. Some teenage drama. Maybe he'd failed a test. Maybe he'd fought with his mother again. They'd been tense lately. My long hours or stress, his teenage moods. Our home had quietly become a minefield. I forced a weak smile. What are you talking about? Of course we're going home. It's a school night. His eyes filled with tears, so fast it scared me. Please, he repeated, even quieter. Dad, you don't understand. Mom did something. You need to know, but you can't just walk in there. The way he said, Mom, made my stomach twist. Suddenly, all the small things I've been ignoring lined up in my head like dominoes. Her late-night meetings, the locked phone, the hushed arguments when she thought Ethan was asleep, the way she'd started asking, what time exactly are you coming home? Like it mattered to the minute. I swallowed, my throat dry. Ethan, what happened? Is she okay? Are you okay? He shook his head quickly. I'm okay. But if you go home like this without knowing, it's going to destroy you. Those words, destroy you, they didn't sound like something a 14-year-old just randomly said. Someone brushed past us, and he flinched, glancing over his shoulder like he was afraid someone was watching him. My heart started to pound harder. What did your mom do? I asked, my voice low. Did she hurt you? Did someone come to the house? He hesitated. For a moment it looked like he might lie, like he might tell me something small, something easy, just so he wouldn't have to say the real thing out loud. But then his shoulders dropped, and I saw it. That moment children realize they're about to break their parents' heart for their own good. She told me not to tell you, he whispered. She said if I ever told you, she'd say I was lying, that I was trying to turn you against her. But I can't keep it anymore, Dad. Not after what she did today. I stared at him, my pulse thudding in my ears. Okay, I said slowly. Then tell me, right now, what did she do? He glanced at the street, then back at me. Not here. Please. Can we go somewhere else first? Sit down? I recorded something. And there's messages. And I saw him again. Him. He nodded, and the way his face tightened at that single word made my chest tighten too. The man who comes when you're not home. The world around me seemed to tilt. The station lights, the traffic, the people. It all faded into a dull, quiet rush at the edges of my mind. I took a deep breath I didn't feel. All right, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. We won't go home. Not yet. I put my hand on his shoulder and gently led him away from the station. In that moment, I had no idea that one whisper in that half-empty station was about to tear open my whole life. We ended up in a small cafe a few blocks from the station. It was nearly empty. Just us, a bored-looking barista wiping the counter, and an older man in the corner staring at his phone. The quiet hum of the refrigerator was the only sound between us. Ethan sat across from me in a booth, hands wrapped around a mug of hot chocolate. He wasn't drinking. He kept glancing at the door, as if my wife might burst in at any second. I watched him for a moment, trying to calm down the roaring inside my head. Start from the beginning, I said softly. And don't worry about hurting me. Just tell me the truth. His eyes met mine, and I could see how exhausted they were. Not just from that day, from weeks, maybe months. It started a few months ago, he said. At first, I thought I was imagining things. You were working late a lot. Mom kept saying she was lonely, that you were always tired, that you were never really there even when you were home. I didn't understand it. I just heard things. I clenched my jaw. What things? Phone calls, he answered. She'd go to the balcony and talk very quietly. Once I heard her laugh in this weird way, like how she used to laugh with you before everything got so tense. He looked down at his hands. One night, I woke up because I heard the door open. It was around midnight. I thought it was you coming home late. But when I checked my phone, you had texted that you were sleeping at your co-worker's place because you both had to be in early in the morning for a project. I remember that night. I'd slept on my friend Mark's couch because we had a presentation at 7 a.m., and our office was closer to his place. I had texted my wife, and she just replied, "Okay, good night." No questions. My throat tightened. So if it wasn't me, it was him, Ethan said quietly. The first time I saw him, he was standing in the hallway. I peeked from my room. He was tall, dark hair, wearing a black jacket. Mom told him to be quiet. She didn't know I saw. I squeezed my hands together so tight my knuckles went white. Why didn't you tell me then? I asked. He gave a bitter little laugh that didn't sound like him at all. I did, remember? Kind of. I asked you why you and Mom were fighting so much. I asked if you still loved each other. You just said, "We're fine. Don't worry about it." I remember that too. I'd been tired, angry, stressed about money. I thought he was just being a teenager, worrying about things he didn't need to worry about. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I should have listened better." He shrugged in a way that said he'd heard too many apologies that didn't fix anything. "That wasn't the worst part," he continued. "It got worse. He started coming more, always when you were stuck at work, or having drinks with the team. Mom would tell me to go to my room, put my headphones on, watch something loud. She'd say she needed to talk about adult things." He swallowed hard. "But I'm not stupid, Dad. I'm not 6. I knew. I felt something inside me crack. I had suspected my wife was distant. I had felt her pulling away. But hearing that my own son had been forced to stand in the shadows of our hallway and watch another man walk into his home, that was a different kind of pain. "Okay," I said, my voice barely steady. "So she was seeing him, behind my back. You saw him. You heard them. But why now? Why tonight? Why stop me from going home?" He took a shaky breath and finally reached into his pocket. "Because today," he said, "I heard what they're planning." From his pocket, he took out his phone and placed it on the table between us like it was something poisonous. "I recorded something," he confessed. "I know it's wrong to record people, but I didn't know what else to do. I thought, if I had proof, you'd have to believe me. She'd have to stop pretending nothing is wrong." My heart was beating so hard I could feel in my throat. "What did you record?" I asked, my voice hoarse. He unlocked his phone, tapped a folder, and pushed it toward me. I stared at the screen. A single audio file. Today's date. A time. 4:37 p.m. "Before you listen," he said, "you should know she wasn't just talking about leaving you. She was talking about what she's going to say about you. To everyone. To the court." A chill ran down my spine. "To the court?" I repeated slowly. He nodded, his eyes shiny with tears. "She wants to get rid of you, Dad. Not just from her life. From mine." I stared at the little triangle icon on the screen, the play button, as if pressing it would break open my whole world. I didn't know it yet, but one recording, captured by my terrified son in our kitchen, was about to show me that my wife's betrayal went much deeper than I ever imagined. And she wasn't just cheating. She was rewriting the story of who I was. My finger hovered over the play button, but for a moment I couldn't bring myself to press it. "Are you sure you wanted to hear this?" I asked Ethan quietly. "Once I listen, things will never be the same." He looked at me with eyes too old for his age. "Things are already not the same, Dad. You just don't know it yet." He was right. So I took a breath, plugged in my earphones so the sound wouldn't echo around the cafe, and hit play. At first, there was a rustle of movement, the faint clinking of dishes. Our kitchen. No doubt. Then I heard her voice. My wife. The same voice that used to tell me, I love you in the dark. The same voice that used to whisper about dreams, plans, a future. Now it was cold, calculated. He doesn't suspect anything, she was saying. He's so busy trying to prove himself at that useless job of his. Honestly, I'm tired of carrying everything. Another voice responded. A man's voice. Calm, slightly amused. The more he works, the easier it is for us. You said yourself, he's barely ever home. She laughed softly. Not the way she laughed with me. A different laugh. And when he comes home, he's exhausted. I just say I'm tired, and he leaves me alone. It's pathetic. The words hit me like physical blows. I gripped the edge of the table, knuckles turning white. There's just one thing, she continued. Ethan, he's not stupid. He's noticed things. Silence. Then the man's voice again. Then we deal with Ethan, he said. He's a kid. Kids believe whatever story is told enough times. You just have to start early. You said he admires his dad, right? That's not good for you. I know, she sighed. That's why I've been telling him little things. That his father doesn't care. That he's selfish. That he only works late because he doesn't want to come home. My chest tightened. I pressed my lips together to keep from reacting out loud. The man hummed thoughtfully. You'll need more than that. If you want full custody like we talked about, you have to show the court he's unstable, unreliable, maybe even dangerous. Dangerous. The word made my stomach flip. My wife lowered her voice. Ethan must have been closer to the kitchen then, because it got clearer. I've started writing down arguments, she said. Every time we disagree, I make a note and I twist it a little. I told my sister he's been shouting, that he has a temper. If she needs to testify. You're building a case, the man said, pleased. Good. And what about money? She exhaled sharply. He'll have to pay. I'll make sure of it. I've already asked a lawyer what to do. She said if I can show emotional harm, neglect, and a pattern of instability, the court will be on my side, especially with a child. I felt sick. Emotional harm, the man repeated. He's the one emotionally harming you? That's what I'll say, she replied, without a trace of guilt. I've kept all his messages where he says he's stressed, where he apologizes. I'll make it look like he's always sorry for something big, like he's always messing everything up. I'll show them how afraid I am of him losing control. You're brilliant, the man said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. And once it's done, once you have the house and the kid and the money, we can finally live properly, without hiding. My wife's voice dropped again. He'll be destroyed. But maybe it's what he deserves. He never appreciated me. He never noticed how unhappy I was. Unhappiness doesn't excuse this. I muttered under my breath in the cafe, every muscle in my body trembling. The recording went on. Ethan must have moved at that moment, because there was a sudden shuffle and my wife's voice sharpened. Hold on, she whispered. I think he's home. The audio ended abruptly. I took out the earphones slowly. The cafe's air felt thicker, heavier. For a few seconds, all I could do was stare at the table, my mind racing, rewinding her words over and over. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning to erase me, to turn my own son against me, to stand in a courtroom and paint me as a monster, while the real cruelty was a calm, methodical way she was plotting it. Dad, Ethan asked nervously. You heard it? I nodded, but my voice didn't come out at first. I swallowed hard, blinked back the burning in my eyes, and tried again. Yes, I said quietly. I heard everything. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know what to do. When I heard them talking about court and custody, I got scared. I thought she'd try to make you disappear from my life. I couldn't let her do that. I reached across the table and gripped his hand. Listen to me, I said, steady now, even as my heart shattered inside. You did the right thing. You were brave. You shouldn't have had to be, but you were. Tears finally spilled over his lashes. I don't want to hurt you, but I couldn't pretend I didn't know. She keeps asking me if I love you more than her. She keeps saying you'll leave us one day, that you're going to replace us with your work or someone else. And now she's bringing that man home like you're already gone. Pain, sorrow, rage, they all mix into one cold, clear thought. They thought I was blind. They thought I was weak. They thought I would walk into that house tonight like nothing was wrong, and then one day wake up with everything I loved taken from me by a lie. I couldn't go home ignorant, but I also couldn't just storm in and scream. That's exactly what she wanted. A scene. Something she could write down. Record. Twist. Use. No. If she wanted a story, she was about to get one, just not the one she planned. I took a slow breath and looked my son in the eyes. Ethan, I said, my voice low but steady, we're not going to let her rewrite who I am. We're not going to let her turn you into a weapon. If she wants a case, we'll give the truth its own story. He wiped his cheeks. But what are we going to do? I felt something new then, under the heartbreak, not just anger. Focus. We're going to be smarter than them. I replied, if they're writing a script to destroy me, I'm going to write my own. And this time, we won't be the victims. That was the moment the betrayal turned into something else. A plan. Revenge is a dangerous word. It sounds sharp and satisfying when you're hurt. But if you're not careful, it can turn you into the same thing that broke you. Sitting in that cafe with my son staring at me with desperate hope, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't explode. I couldn't go home and shout, throw things, break down. Not even a part of me wanted to. That would give her exactly what she needed. A story of a rage-filled husband. A scene to show everyone. See? This is what I told you about him. No, if I wanted justice, I would have to be calm, controlled, precise. I need you to be honest with me, I told Ethan. Has she ever filmed me when we argued? Taken pictures? Recorded me? He frowned, thinking. Once a few weeks ago. You were arguing about money. You raised your voice, just for a second. She put her phone on the table, screen down. I thought it was just there. But later, I saw a waveform on her screen, like a voice memo. So she'd already started recording her version of me. I nodded slowly. Okay, that's fine. We'll deal with that. He bit his lip. What are you going to do, Dad? First, I said, I'm going to protect you. Then I'm going to protect myself. And then, if she wants war, she's going to have to fight with the truth. We sat there, outlining the reality of what we were facing. She had a secret relationship, a man who was clearly involved in the plan, a lawyer already advising her, a silent campaign to turn our families and friends against me. But we had a son who had seen and heard everything, a recording of her own words plotting to twist reality. Years of messages showing I was the one apologizing, trying, working late to support our home, not abandoning it. Ethan, I said gently, I'm going to ask you something that isn't fair for your age. You can say no, but I have to ask. He nodded slowly. Okay. I need you to keep acting normal for a little while, I said. At least when you're with her. Don't let her know you told me. If she realizes you know everything, she'll panic. And panicking people do reckless things. Fear flashed in his eyes. What if she asked me questions? She's been weird lately. Always asking what I think about you. Sometimes she cries and says, you wouldn't leave me, right? You'd stay with me instead of him. My stomach turned. If she asks, I said carefully, you don't have to lie, but you can stay vague. Say you love us both. Say you're confused. Say you don't want to choose. That much is true, isn't it? He nodded, shoulders slumping. I don't want to choose. I hate this. I know, I whispered. I hate it too. But if we let her rush this, you might wake up one day living with a story about your own father that's completely fake. I can't let that happen to you. He squeezed the mug again, even though the hot chocolate had gone cold. What about you? Where will you go tonight? If we don't go home. I hadn't thought that far yet. My brain was still reeling. But then one person's face came to mind, Mark, my co-worker and friend, the guy whose couch I slept on before. The one person who'd said months ago, "Something's off, man. Are you sure she's being honest with you?" "I'll call Mark," I said. "We'll stay with him tonight. Just tell your mom you're sleeping at a friend's place. I'll text her that I got called in for an emergency overnight." "You're still going to text her?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," I answered. "If we disappear without explanation, she'll know something's wrong. She'll start making moves faster. We need time, and we need evidence." "Evidence?" Ethan repeated. I nodded. "You gave me one recording. That's powerful. But if this goes to court, if she tries to paint me as some unstable man, we'll need more. Messages, logs, evidence of her cheating, evidence of her plotting, evidence of her lies." He swallowed. "I have some," he said, almost ashamed. "Screenshots. Times she forgot to delete messages. Times she left her laptop open. I took pictures. I know I shouldn't have, but..." I stopped him. "Hey," I said firmly. "Look at me." He looked up, eyes glistening. "You did what you felt you had to do to protect the truth. That doesn't make you a bad kid. That makes you a kid stuck in the middle of adults' bad choices." Silence fell between us for a moment. Finally, I checked my watch. "We should go. I'll call Mark on the way." As we stood, Ethan hesitated. "Dad, when this is over, if we win, will things ever be normal again?" I didn't have the heart to lie. "No," I said honestly. "They won't be the old normal. That's gone. But we can build a new one. One with less lies. One where you never have to hide recordings in your phone again." He nodded, and for the first time that night, he stood a little straighter. As we walked out of the cafe, I made myself a promise. I would not let anger turn me into the monster she was trying to create. I would not let her destroy my relationship with my son. And I would not let my story be written by someone who had already decided I didn't matter. If she wanted to play with narratives, with lies, with half-truths, she was about to find out what happens when the person you underestimate stops playing along. Outside, the sky had gone almost black. Streetlights glowed in a thin line, and the city hummed softly around us. Ethan walked close to me, silent, his backpack bouncing slightly with every step. I called Mark. "Hey," he answered, sounding surprised. "You okay? You don't usually call this late." "I'm not okay," I said honestly, "but I will be." "Listen, I need a favor. A big one." He didn't even hesitate. "Say it." "I can't go home tonight," I said, "and I can't explain everything over the phone. Can my son and I stay at your place? Just for tonight. Maybe a few nights." "Of course," he said instantly. "I'll send you the address again. I've got a spare mattress. And I have pizza. That solves 80% of problems." I almost laughed. "You have no idea what kind of problem this is, but thanks." After hanging up, I turned to Ethan. "It's sorted. We'll stay at Mark's. But first, I have to text your mom." His face tensed. "What are you going to say?" he asked. I unlocked my phone and started typing slowly, choosing every word with care. "Hey," something came up at work. "Emergency overnight shift. I'm staying near the office with Mark. Ethan said he might sleep over at friends. We'll be back early tomorrow. Is that okay?" I asked him, using the friend excuse. He nodded. "Yeah, she usually doesn't mind as long as I text. She's been distracted lately." I sent the message and watched the screen, my heart pounding. Within a minute, the 3 little dots appeared. Then her reply came in. "Again, you're always working. No wonder this marriage feels like it's just me. Whatever. Tell Ethan to let me know where he is. I'm tired." "No, are you okay?" "No, what happened?" "Just annoyance." I showed the message to Ethan. "This," I said quietly, "is the kind of thing she'll twist later. She'll say she was tired from dealing with an absent husband. But these messages, they show her real priorities." He stared at the screen, then looked away. We walked to the bus stop and took a ride across town. On the bus, I watched Ethan lean his head against the window, the city lights sliding across his face. I wondered how long he'd been carrying all of this alone. How many nights had he lain awake, listening to a stranger's footsteps in our hallway, listening to his mother's laughter from behind a closed door, know his father was somewhere else, blind to all of it. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run back to the house and confront her right then. But every time that urge rose up, I saw the courtroom in my mind. I heard her telling a judge, "He has a temper. He's unstable. I'm scared of him." I saw people nodding, believing her. No, not like this. By the time we reached Mark's apartment, I'd repeated that thought so many times it had become a shield. Mark greeted us at the door, wearing sweatpants and holding a slice of pizza. He took one look at our faces and set the plate down. "Okay," he said. "I was going to make a joke, but this looks serious. Come in." Once inside, Ethan went to the guest room with his backpack. Mark waited until he was out of earshot, then turned to me, his expression changing from casual to concerned. "Tell me," he said, "what happened?" So I told him. Not every detail, not at first, but enough. The late nights, the mood changes, the recording, the plan to paint me as unstable. By the time I finished, Mark's mouth was hanging slightly open. "That's messed up," he finally said. "Like, really messed up. You always defended her when we joked about her being controlling, remember?" I nodded bitterly. I thought I was being loyal. "You were," he said. "You were loyal to someone who was already leaving you behind emotionally, and now she wants to erase you completely. Man, I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it," I said, but there was no anger in my voice, just exhaustion. I need to be smart. I need to protect Ethan. And I need to protect myself legally before she twists things so badly that even I start doubting my own memories. Mark nodded slowly. "First thing tomorrow, you should talk to a lawyer. Tell them everything. Keep that recording safe. And I can help you gather whatever else you need. I've seen you at work. You're not the monster she's trying to create. You're the guy who stays late to finish other people's tasks for them." I let out a humorless laugh. Apparently, that doesn't count at home. That night, after Ethan fell asleep on the mattress in the guest room, I lay awake on the couch, staring at the ceiling. I replayed every moment of my marriage. Every little sign I brushed aside because I believed in us. Every conversation where she'd accused me of not being present, while she was secretly planning her escape. I thought about all the times I blamed myself, all the times I told myself, if I just work harder, she'll be happy. If I just earn more, we'll be okay. I'd been killing myself to support a life she was already building with someone else. But the thing that hurt the most wasn't losing her. It was realizing how close I had come to losing Ethan, too. If he hadn't been brave enough to speak up tonight, she might have succeeded. I might have walked right into a trap, blind, unprepared. One day, I'd wake up served with papers, accused of things I never did, confused and scrambling while she calmly presented her evidence. But not anymore. That night, in my friend's small living room, I made another promise. I would not only defend myself, I would make sure the truth came out so clearly, so undeniably, that anyone who tried to twist it would expose themselves instead. The next morning, I woke up with a headache that felt like it was made of concrete. Ethan was already awake, sitting at the little kitchen table in Mark's apartment, scrolling through his phone. He looked tired, but more settled than the night before. "Morning," I said quietly. "Morning," he replied. "Mom texted me." My shoulders tensed. What did she say? He handed me the phone. "Good morning. Did you sleep well at your friend's?" "Your dad said he was working overnight again. I hope you're not mad at him. You know how he is. Once he starts working, he forgets about everything else. Talk to me if you're upset. I understand you better than he does." Underneath, a second message. "Remember what we talked about, baby. Sometimes dads leave. I just want to prepare you so it doesn't hurt as much if he does." I read the messages twice, then 3 times. Even now, she was already rewriting me, planting seeds, preparing him for a story where I'm the one who abandons him, while she's the one bringing another man into our home. "Can I reply?" I asked Ethan. He nodded. "Please. I don't know what to say to her right now." I typed slowly. "Hey, Mom, I'm okay. I'm not mad at Dad. I know he works a lot, but I don't think that means he'll leave. I don't want to think about that. Right now, I just want to focus on school. It was simple, true, neutral, but it was also a line in the sand. I gave the phone back to Ethan. Going forward, I said, keep her messages. Don't delete anything. If she calls, don't record secretly unless you feel unsafe, but take screenshots of anything that feels wrong, okay? We're not doing this to attack her. We're doing it to protect ourselves from lies. Mark came out, rubbing his eyes. Coffee, he asked. Please, I said. After breakfast, I did the thing I'd been dreading. I called a lawyer, sitting in Mark's small living room, with Ethan in the next room pretending to watch TV. I explained the situation. I kept my voice as calm as I could, even when my hands were shaking. The lawyer listened quietly, then said, You did the right thing by leaving the house calmly and seeking advice instead of confronting her in the moment. From what you're describing, she may be building a narrative to portray you as unstable or dangerous. The recording your son took, that could be important, but we need to be careful about how we use it. So what do I do? I asked. First, she said, do not go home alone. If you plan to return, do it calmly, with a witness if possible. Do not start yelling or accusing. If she starts provoking you, you stay calm. If she records, let her record a calm, reasonable man trying to communicate. A bitter smile tugged at my mouth. So I have to act like everything's normal? You have to act like the opposite of what she wants to show, the lawyer said. You also need to start saving your own evidence. Bank transfers, messages showing you've been supporting the family, any proof that you've been present, involved, and responsible. And you should quietly document what your son told you in your own words with timestamps. What about my son? I asked, my voice catching. She's trying to turn him against me. Children are often pulled into these battles, the lawyer said sadly. But your son told you the truth. That will matter. If this goes to court, his age and testimony could be relevant. But for now, don't ask him to take sides openly. Just keep showing him who you really are. After the call, I sat there for a long moment, staring at the wall. Mark broke the silence. So, what's the plan? I'm going home, I said quietly. Not to fight, just to observe, to see if he's there, to see her face when she looks at me, thinking I still don't know. And I'm going to start documenting everything. Ethan stiffened. What about me? You, I said gently, are going to go to school like normal. I'll pick you up later. For now, don't let her know anything has changed. Just be careful with what you tell her. He nodded slowly, though I could see the fear in his eyes. Listen, I added, leaning forward, whatever happens in the next few weeks, I need you to remember one thing. None of this is your fault. Not the marriage problems. Not the lies. Not the recording. Adults create these messes. Kids just get trapped inside them. I still feel like I'm betraying her, he whispered. She's my mom. She is. I agreed. And you're not betraying her by telling the truth. You're protecting yourself. You're making sure you don't have to live with a story that isn't real. One day, when you're older, you'll understand how important that is. Later that day, after dropping Ethan at school, I took a deep breath and went back to the house. Unlocking the front door, I felt like I was stepping onto a stage where everyone else knew the script except me. But this time, I had read a part of it, and I was going to change my lines. The house was quiet. No shoes I didn't recognize at the door. No strange jacket on the chair. Just our usual mess. The faint smell of her perfume. The echo of a life that suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else. She came out of the kitchen, surprised. You're back early, she said. I thought you had an overnight shift. I forced a tired smile. It was shorter than I expected. Mark covered the rest. She nodded, but there was something in her eyes. Measuring, calculating. How was Ethan? I asked casually. Oh, she said lightly. He texted me, said he was at a friend's. You know how he is. He barely talks to me anymore. I guess that's what happens when a father is never home. The kid follows the same pattern. There was again the jab, the seed, the narrative. I didn't react. Not visibly. Maybe we should all talk together one of these days. I said calmly, as a family. Clear the air. Her jaw tightened for a fraction of a second before she smoothed her expression. Maybe, she agreed, if you're ever home long enough. Inside my mind, I pressed record, not on a device, but on my memory. Her words, her tone, her deflection. If she wanted to build a case based on lies, I was going to build a wall of truth around myself. Slowly, calmly, carefully. Days passed. On the surface, life looked almost normal. I went to work. Ethan went to school. My wife moved around the house with practiced ease. Cooking, cleaning, texting with that faint smile she thought I couldn't see. But underneath, everything had changed. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way she always checked the time when I left. The way she subtly steered conversations when family called. Dropping hints about how stressed I was, how distant. The way she touched her phone whenever I entered the room, like it was a shield. One evening, I came home earlier than usual on purpose. The house was quiet. Too quiet. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. I walked down the hallway and noticed it. A faint murmur from the bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. I approached slowly, my heart pounding. "He won't suspect a thing," my wife was saying. "He thinks we're just going through a rough patch. Once everything's ready, I'll file and he'll have no idea what hit him." A male voice responded, muffled. "And the kid?" "Ethan will understand," she said dismissively. "I'll just explain that his father chose work over him. Kids always choose the parent who stays." My hand tightened around the doorknob. I could have barged in right then. I could have confronted them, shouted, demanded answers. But instead, I did something else. I pulled out my phone, pressed record, and pushed the door open slowly. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone to her ear. She turned, startled, when she saw me. "Oh, I have to go," she said quickly into the phone. "He's home." She hung up without waiting for a reply. "Who was that?" I asked calmly, stepping into the room. "No one," she said too fast. "Just my sister. She's been worried about me." I held her gaze. "Really?" I asked. "Your sister? The one who thinks I have a temper and you're scared of me?" Her eyes flickered. "I never said I was scared of you," she scoffed. "You're exaggerating." "I heard you," I said quietly. "Not just now. Before. In the kitchen. When you thought Ethan wasn't listening." Her face went pale. "W, what are you talking about?" she stammered. "Is this another one of your paranoid episodes?" Paranoid. Another word into the story. I took a deep breath. "I know about him," I said. "The man you bring here. The man you're planning a new life with. The man who thinks my son is just an obstacle." For a second, she stared at me like a statue. Then she laughed. A sharp, cold sound. "You're unbelievable," she said. "You disappear for nights, always working. And then you come home and accuse me? Do you hear yourself?" "I missed one night," I replied, "and I texted you exactly where I was. There's a difference between working late and sneaking someone into our home." She crossed her arms. "You have no proof of anything." "Don't I?" I asked softly. For a moment, silence lay thick in the air. She tried to walk past me. "I don't have time for your drama. I'm going to start dinner." I didn't move. "You told him," I said. "You told this mystery man that once you're done, I'll be destroyed. That I'll look unstable. That everyone will believe you because you've been slowly twisting small stories for months." She stopped dead. Very slowly, she turned back to me. "What did you say?" she asked, voice deadly calm. I repeated, "I heard you. I know about the narrative you're building. I know about the temper you tell people I have, the fear you exaggerate, the lawyer you already spoke to, the custody you want." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "Ethan," she breathed. "He told you, that ungrateful little." Careful, I cut in sharply. My voice was still calm, but there was steel in it now. "Do not talk about her son like that." She glared at me. "He betrayed me." "No," I said firmly. "He told the truth. There's a difference." He didn't betray you. You betrayed both of us when you brought a stranger into our home and started planning how to erase me from his life. Something in her expression cracked then. The mask slipped just a little. You think this is all my fault? She asked, voice trembling. You were never here. You never listened. I was lonely. I was drowning. And you expect me to just sit and wait for you to remember you have a family? Being unhappy, I said quietly, does not give you the right to lie, to cheat, to manipulate, to plan to destroy someone's reputation in court. You could have left. You could have asked for a divorce. You could have been honest. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You would have fought me, she said. You would have turned everyone against me. I shook my head slowly. No, I would have been heartbroken. But at least we would have been honest. At least our son wouldn't be stuck between two stories, wondering which parent is lying. She sank onto the edge of the bed, covering her face. So what now? She whispered. You're going to record me? Take me to court? Make me the villain? I stared at her for a long moment. I don't have to make you anything, I answered softly. You did that yourself. But I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to break things. I'm not going to give you the unstable husband performance you want. I'm going to do something much worse. She looked up, eyes red. What's worse? I'm going to tell the truth, I said, to my lawyer, to my family, to yours, to anyone who asks. No lies, no twisted half-stories. Just your own words, your own actions, held up in the light. Her lip trembled. You can't do this, she whispered. I'll lose everything. A hollow laugh escaped me. You were willing to make me lose everything. Remember? My relationship with my son, my reputation, my peace. Did you think there would be no cost? Silence stretched between us. Finally, I took a step back. I'm not going to fight with you, I said. Not here. Not like this. I'm moving out. For now. Ethan will stay with me some days, with you others, until this is settled. We'll do it the right way. Legally. But the days of secrets in this house are over. She stared at me, stunned. You can't just leave, she stammered. Where will you go? You don't even have... I have friends, I said. I have a job. And I have something more important than any of that. What? She demanded. The one person you couldn't manipulate completely. I replied, our son. And with that, I walked out of the room, calmly, quietly, and started packing a bag. I was done being the silent victim in her story. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. Lawyers, meetings, cold conversations about custody, schedules, documents. My wife tried to push her version of the story at first. The tired, scared woman with an unstable husband. But it didn't land the way she expected. Because this time, I wasn't alone. Ethan spoke up, not as a weapon, not as a child forced to choose, but as a witness. He told the truth, carefully, respectfully, without cruelty. He talked about the late-night visits, the conversations he overheard, the way his mother had tried to twist his feelings, asking again and again if he loved me or her more. The recording he'd made played a part, too. Her voice, calm and cold, planning to make me look unstable. It was hard to argue with her own words. Our friends and family, who had once only seen small pieces of the puzzle, started to see the whole picture. Some still sided with her. They said things like, marriage is complicated, or you must have done something too. And maybe, in some ways, they were right. I wasn't a perfect husband. I had worked too much. I had missed moments. I had ignored warning signs because I didn't want to face them. But imperfection is not the same as cruelty, and mistakes are not the same as manipulation. In the end, the legal outcome was balanced, shared custody. No dramatic, full win for either side. The court didn't declare her a monster. It didn't declare me a saint. It just acknowledged what it could see, that there had been planning, lies, attempts to twist reality, and that our son needed protection from being pulled into those games. She kept the house. I kept my job and my dignity. We divided assets. We signed papers. We walked out of that building no longer husband and wife, but still parents forever tied together by the one person we both loved. But the real victory wasn't on paper. It was a quiet moment a few months later when Ethan and I were sitting on a park bench after one of our weekend walks. He was older, somehow, not physically, just inside. "You know," he said, kicking a small stone with his shoe, "I used to be scared you'd hate me for what I told you, for recording Mom, for breaking everything." I looked at him, surprised. "Why would I hate you?" "Because after that night," he said softly, "nothing was the same. We didn't go home. You and Mom stopped sleeping in the same house. We went to court. Everything blew up, and I was the one who opened my mouth." I took a deep breath. "Ethan," I said, choosing my words carefully, "you didn't break anything. You opened a window in a house that was already full of smoke. If you hadn't spoken, I would have walked right into a fire." He was quiet for a long moment. "Do you ever miss her?" he asked suddenly. "You know, before all this, the way she used to be." I smiled sadly. "Yes, of course I do. I miss the version of us that was honest. I miss the woman who held my hand when you were born. I miss the nights we laughed over stupid things before bills and stress and secrets took over." He nodded slowly. "Do you hate her?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "I don't hate her," I said finally. "Hating her would mean she still controls everything. My emotions, my peace. I won't give her that power anymore. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. But I also understand something now." "What?" he asked. "That people don't become cruel overnight," I said. "They get lost. They feel unseen. They make small bad choices and justify them until they can't see the line anymore. She crossed that line when she decided to rewrite the truth instead of facing it. That was her choice. My choice is what I do with it now." He leaned his head on my shoulder like he hadn't done since he was 10. "Do you ever wish I hadn't told you?" he whispered. I wrapped an arm around him. "Never," I said. "I wish I'd seen it sooner. I wish I'd listened more. I wish we had all been braver and more honest from the beginning. But I will never, ever wish that you had stayed silent to protect a lie." The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over the park. "So what's the lesson?" he asked, half smiling. "You always say every story has a moral." I chuckled softly. "I guess it does." I looked out at the trees, thinking of all the nights I'd blamed myself, all the days I'd almost believed the version of me she was creating. "The lesson," I said slowly, "is this. When someone tries to destroy you with a story, don't fight them with another lie. Fight them with the truth. Calmly, clearly, patiently. Lies shout. The truth doesn't have to. It just has to stand long enough." He considered that. "And the other lesson?" he asked. "For me? For you?" I said, looking him in the eye. "The lesson is, never carry secrets that make you sick inside. If something feels wrong, speak. Even if your voice shakes. Even if you're afraid it will change everything. Sometimes changing everything is the only way to save what really matters." He nodded. "I was so scared that night," he admitted, "at the station, when I told you not to go home. I felt like I was breaking the whole world." "You didn't break the world," I said gently. "You just stopped it from breaking you." He smiled then, a real, small smile that reached his eyes. In the distance, a train horn sounded. For a second, I was back in that cold station, with his fingers gripping my arm. "Dad," he said suddenly. "Yeah, thanks for believing me." I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "Thank you," I replied, "for telling me before it was too late. Our family wasn't perfect. Our story wasn't clean. There were still difficult days, awkward handovers, old wounds that ached when something reminded us of before. But there was also something new. Honesty, respect, a bond between father and son that had survived an attempt to twist it into something ugly. And if someone asked me now, years later, what really happened, I'd tell them this." My son looked terrified and whispered, "Dad, please don't go home. Mom did something you need to know." That was the night my world cracked open. But it was also the night the truth walked in. And in the long run, the truth is the only thing that didn't betray us.